Hello everyone and welcome to Moonride. So this is my second video for today, and I'm making this about how do we deal with the fact that the next 10 days is going to be really stressful because Trump hasn't left yet, and I guess it's actually 15 days we have to endure before he leaves. Tomorrow will of course be significant, but the question really is, I don't want to keep feeding the Trump. Feel like I'm feeding the monster myself. I don't know about you, but I look at the newspaper and I'm totally bored unless there's a national crisis. I don't really care who Biden picks for his cabinet. It's not the end of my world, right? So I feel like I'm kind of participating in this event too. Like I almost want some excitement for Donald Trump. And I'm sort of feeding him in this way. And I really try all day long not to do that. But I'm not entirely successful. So I really want this to be about, yes, we want to be aware of what Trump's going to do. And also we want to free ourselves from this consumption of constant stress. So Spirit, what can we do? How can we live with this stressful Trumpian situation? Well, as in my last video, there's a road, and the road ends in light. So who knows if this is going to be in 10 days or 10 years. Maybe it's not so important, but the end is really looking positive, and it's looking very much like a more wise society. It's like that society, there's a sort of an angel there at the end of the road. That society is learning, and at the end there is compassion, right? And that's the feeling that I get. It's this, how much compassion have you been able to create in yourself because of this particular situation? So remember that part of what's going on here is to teach us something. How can you be compassionate? How can you even be compassionate with somebody whose political views completely oppose yours, even though those people seem completely deluded or naive or, just crazy? How can you still have compassion while you are politically active? Okay, and I don't know what angel this is, but they've really shown up here. And I think it's Saint Michael because he's showing me blue. Okay, and I think that's a color for Saint Michael. All right, forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm gonna have to look this up out of the video. But what do you want to show me? How can we live with Donald? It'll really help if you just take an objective view rather than be stuck in every moment of the details. If you can step back at it and go, what's the changes that are happening in our society? It's almost like you're showing me a blackboard. Like, if we're going to look at this in 10 years and be objective and not so worried and study it logically, rationally, what changes happen in our society that created Trump and defeated Trump? It will help you if you can somehow understand this as a necessary experience for all of us, and understand that there is a divine conclusion. And sort of, this is showing us how to, how to address some of these problems in our society that have already existed for a long time. So let's just take sexism, for example. This has forced us to address the nature of sexism. And it's very unpleasant, right? Because some people are not at all understanding in this regard. But it has forced us to confront, rather than just go, oh, well, Bob disagrees with me. Yeah, he hits on women at work all the time. Nope, that's just not going to happen anymore. So there are very positive things that this whole experience is having. Even if it's your reaction of righteousness, that is a positive thing, right? So it's important to not look at everything that's happened as a negative. These are social experiences that our society needed to have. And Saint Michael, what else did you want to tell us? Oh, a lot of people are getting spirituality out of this. If your culture isn't working, then you turn to an internal world and maybe a more connection with the divine world. So there's another reason why this happened. It's reconnected people, or more deeply connected people, to the spirituality and to the understanding of themselves, and to an understanding that they can be an individual. They don't have to live in, they don't have to agree with everything in society to still live in it. I can't help but thinking of all these people who are kind of returning to growing their own food, becoming more organic. Because they really are. People really are becoming more spiritual and more balanced because of this. This is a positive. Maybe we see what we don't want, so we move towards what we do want. And that has to do with who we are. Anything else for us to calm us down? So I'm shown the image of a feather sort of floating in the wind, floating, 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 floating. Just gives you the feeling of, the time, like this is just going to happen. Feather's going to float. Eventually it's going to land. It's also a sort of going swinging to the right, swinging to the left experience. So we've just swung very far to the right, and now apparently we're going to swim back. All right. Yeah. And I'm shown in orange, and it just makes me think Florida. And that's like just thinking that Florida will flip next time, right? It will be an easier state for the Dems to win, right? And that will calm things down a lot. It'll even out this whole electoral college stuff. So tell me more about the orange. When you peel an orange, like sometimes it squirts and it gets in some people's eyes, right? So some people are not going to like it. It's going to be a tough peel, as it will. But it's juicy inside and sweet. So it's not going to be an easy thing to crack, Florida, but it will go eventually in the right direction. And one thing that will make a difference too is the rollout of the vaccine. That seems to be important in Florida. I understand this rollout is going really, really badly. So that's another failure on the part of Trump. It's just not working out very well. And it's upsetting people in Florida. And they're not going to forget about it. In this period of time, it also will help to know that, if you believe in multiple lifetimes, we're just going to learn something from this lifetime. Then we'll go to another lifetime, which will have its own difficulties. And then another lifetime, which will have its own positives and negatives. The important thing to remember is, what is this teaching us? And the thing that I always get is Marianne Williamson, love. That's what it's teaching us. What's love look like? Love for your fellow Americans, fellow humans, what does that look like? Well, that doesn't look like sitting around being passive all the time. It does look like speaking truth to power. It doesn't look like your ego always saying, I'm smarter than you, I'm smarter than you. It's a complex thing, love, right? And it is also showing us, some people have empathy for others. Some people do not. And we have to explore this and find out in our own selves, what are we learning about empathy and love for our fellow humans or animals or the planet or something like that. Part of what's going on here is an exercise in understanding the nature of love. It might not feel that way. It might feel like it's opposite. But when you are talking about hate, you are also talking about a human capacity for love. So insofar as it is possible for you, go to that love. Be kind to yourself. Do a kind thing for another person. Every time you see Trump do something bad, do something nice for someone that deserves it, right? That could be as simple as your cat. It could be the person that you live with. It could be a stranger. Insofar as you see the negatives, what can you do to do something positive? This is a way that you can use Trump as a ladder to move your own consciousness a little bit higher. And also to do actions that matter, right? And it might not seem like giving your cat a treat matters, but it really does. It really does. Insofar as you can, move towards love. Nobody's perfect. You can't live there all the time perfectly, but you can move a little bit closer to compassion for your fellow humans And for yourself, don't forget that part. You have to be kind to yourself too. So you might just take a moment doing something really nice for yourself today. Again, I would suggest have a ledger. Every time Trump does something bad, do something good, right, for yourself or others. And it doesn't have to be monumental. It could just be a simple thing. This is about your course in life. It's about yourself evolving, right? Whatever they're doing, that's up to them. That's their own evolution. You are moving in a certain direction. And that's what's the most important thing. That's something you can also exercise total control of, or large control of, right? Thanks so much for watching.